What is considered socially acceptable now, that was not socially accepted 20 years ago? Texting. I remember first getting a phone around then and my dad being upset that the phone bill was so high because of all those SMS messages. I hated it when people would text me, even though I told them not to on school group projects. I still had a razor after having it for a decade. Group text not only racked up my phone bill, but also crashed my phone. Wearing a mask into a bank. My dad is a big guy, 6'3" and built like a brick wall. He walked into a bank with a black hat, sunglasses, and a black bandana instead of a mask. This was back in April, May, when bandanas were pretty much everyone's mask. There was a cop at the door who just said the fact that you can come in here like that and nobody, including myself, bats an eye, really shows how get up everything is. Leggings as pants instead of only as underwear. It was considered semi-scandalous into the mid-2000s, at least where I lived. Oh yeah, I remember a friend in middle school wearing black leggings with a shirt that didn't fully cover her ass. Lots of people asked if she forgot her pants, and I remember thinking myself that it was quite scandalous. Talking about therapy in public, depending on your social circle, but it is completely normalized in mine. My experience is a bit older, but talking about mental disorders anywhere, much less in public. I didn't figure out I was bipolar until I wandered into an AOL chat room in 1996. I was 35 years old, had a complete shithole of a life, and had never been diagnosed. Getting into a stranger's car. Thanks for the lift and free phone charging. This Atlanta traffic sucks. Good luck with your side hustles. Tattoos are a lot more common these days. We had a joke in wrestling in high school that if a kid had a tattoo, he'd automatically win half his matches because of the tattoo alone. Answering a stranger's life-probing question on the internet. Someone missed the live journal era. It happened in the early 2000s, just not on Reddit. Being on the internet for most of the day. Nah, I was doing it back in the late 80s on BBSs before the internet existed and was normal. Taking pictures of only yourself constantly. 20 years ago you would have been considered a psychopath. That hasn't changed in my mind. As someone who lives in East Asia, this thread is making me depressed since most of the things being mentioned are categorically unacceptable here even now. Pretty much anything to do with the LGBTQ community. I remember so clearly the difference even 5-10 years ago. The difference in 20 years is insane. It used to be a big deal when girls had traditionally male names. Thousands of girls named Blake, later here we are. That's not true. A lot of the names we now consider exclusively feminine were once exclusively masculine. The process has been happening for a while. Addison, Allison, Shannon, and Meredith, for instance. There are many more. Mentioning that you're on the autism spectrum. Being able to mention your child, cousin, sibling, or auntie has autism without receiving looks of horror and social distancing. In the dark ages of early 2000s was like admitting that your entire bloodline was defective and deranged. Girls shaving their heads. I did it early 90s and it was embarrassing the amount of responses. I really liked Sinead O'Connor and it was just a funny thing to do with friends. Beckoning strangers from the internet to drive you places. Or beckoning them to get me 2 value meals and leave it on the doorstep. Don't knock, I see you. Gay marriage, wanting Bill Cosby to be in prison, support for trans rights, providing your 8-year-old child with a cell phone, playing video games as a middle-aged person, and giving your personal information to people you don't know on the internet. Women not wearing hoses to work, wearing open-toe shoes, sleeves tops with visible tats and bra showing. People not tucking their shirts in at work. I would have gotten sent home if I dressed like that 20 years ago. I got sent home from work in 2006 for wearing trousers that showed my ankles without having hose on. In 2020, I don't even own hose anymore and will never willingly put them on again. Hair dyed every color of the rainbow. Seeing someone with bright blue or magenta hair these days is so common, it doesn't get any reaction. The depiction of interracial or same-sex couples in the media, and not as a caricature or as the brunt of a joke. Taking things you read on the internet at face value, opting into mass surveillance, seeing trans people as full people rather than sex objects, and the butt of jokes, not having a home phone. Facial piercings. So many people have nose piercings now. Much more accepted in certain workplaces than they used to be too. I remember in middle school, if a girl had their nose pierced on a certain side, it meant they were a lesbian. Now a nose piercing means nothing, so many people have them. Your parents always told you, don't meet people from the internet. And don't get in the car with a stranger. And now we have Uber. Meet people online and go on a date with them. Smoking weed. Even though it's illegal in the UK, no one seems to care anymore. Selling your body on the internet. Surely people did that 20 years ago in some form. Full-fledged buying into crazy conspiracy theories and not being considered fringe. Maybe it's me, but female toplessness seems to be less of a deal now. I think we were still freaking out about thong bikinis back then. No, we were not. We even had an entire song about how great they were.